Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's story is one of ambition, faith, and a relentless pursuit of power. Born in Istanbul in 1954, Erdogan was raised in a working-class district, instilling a strong work ethic and deep Islamic faith. His political awakening came early, drawn to the Islamist movement. His charisma and oratory skills marked him as a rising star. In 1994, he was elected mayor of Istanbul, tackling chronic problems and earning a reputation for efficiency. Erdogan's political trajectory took a dramatic turn in 1998 when he was convicted of inciting religious hatred. This stemmed from a fiery speech in which he recited a poem comparing mosques to barracks and minarets to bayonets. The conviction and subsequent prison sentence could have ended his career. Instead, it was a catalyst for his rise to national prominence. The ban on his political activities was short-lived. In 2001, he co-founded the Justice and Development Party, known as the AKP, blending conservative values with a pro-democracy platform. The AKP presented itself as a modern, reformist alternative to the secular parties, appealing to a broad swathe of Turkish society. The AKP's electoral success was meteoric. In the 2002 general election, the party secured a landslide victory. Erdogan, barred from office, watched as Abdullah Gül became prime minister. Yet Erdogan remained the driving force behind the AKP. In 2003, after a legal amendment, Erdogan became prime minister. His arrival marked a new era in Turkish politics, reshaping the country's political landscape with conservative democracy. Erdogan's early years as prime minister were marked by a delicate balancing act. He pursued an ambitious reform agenda, aimed at modernizing Turkey's economy and strengthening its democratic institutions. His government implemented structural reforms, curbed inflation, and attracted foreign investment, ushering in a period of unprecedented economic growth. These economic achievements were accompanied by efforts to enhance Turkey's international standing. Erdogan positioned himself as a bridge builder between the East and West, seeking closer ties with both the European Union and the Muslim world. He initiated accession talks with the EU, raising hopes of Turkey's integration into the European fold. However, beneath the veneer of reform and moderation, there were growing concerns about Erdogan's increasingly authoritarian tendencies. He displayed a growing intolerance of dissent, cracking down on critical media outlets and using the judiciary to silence opposition voices. The once clear lines between the AKP and the state apparatus began to blur as Erdogan consolidated his grip on power. The 2011 general election saw the AKP return to power with an even larger majority, cementing Erdogan's dominance over Turkish politics. Emboldened by this electoral triumph, he adopted an increasingly confrontational stance towards his opponents, both at home and abroad. In 2014, Erdogan made a strategic move to further consolidate his power. He decided to run for the presidency, a largely ceremonial role at the time. His victory in the election, the first time a Turkish president was directly elected by the people, marked a turning point in Turkish politics. Erdogan wasted no time in transforming the presidency from a symbolic figurehead into a powerful executive position. He argued that the popular mandate he had received gave him the legitimacy to reshape the political system. This power grab was met with resistance from opposition parties and civil society groups, who accused him of undermining Turkey's democratic foundations. The attempted coup d'état in July 2016 proved to be a watershed moment in Erdogan's presidency. The failed putsch, which he blamed on his former ally Fethullah Gulen, provided him with the pretext to launch a sweeping crackdown on his opponents. Thousands of people were arrested, including judges, journalists, academics, and military officers, accused of having links to the coup plotters. Section 5. Economic waves, navigating prosperity, volatility, and U-turns. Erdogan's economic policies have been as much a source of controversy as his political maneuvers. His early years in power were marked by impressive economic growth, fueled by liberal reforms, and a construction boom. He presided over a period of rising living standards and increased access to education and healthcare. However, this economic progress came at a cost. Erdogan's close ties to the construction industry, seen as a key driver of growth, led to accusations of crony capitalism. Environmental concerns were sidelined as massive infrastructure projects were pushed through, often with little regard for their ecological impact. As Erdogan tightened his grip on power, his economic policies became increasingly erratic. He pressured the central bank to keep interest rates low, defying conventional economic wisdom and sending the Turkish lira into a tailspin. Inflation soared, eroding the purchasing power of ordinary citizens and fueling economic anxieties. In the face of mounting economic woes, Erdogan has shown a willingness to make dramatic policy shifts. He has abandoned his previous unorthodox approach to monetary policy, embracing more conventional measures in an attempt to stabilize the economy. Section 6. Silencing dissent. The crackdown on opposition and free speech. Erdogan's rule has been marked by a relentless crackdown on dissent, with journalists, academics, and opposition figures facing arrest, intimidation, and censorship. The space for free speech has shrunk dramatically as the government has moved to silence critical voices. The independent media, once a vibrant force in Turkish society, has been particularly hard hit. Critical newspapers and television stations have been shut down, while journalists have been arrested on trumped-up charges. Self-censorship has become the norm, as media outlets toe the government line to avoid reprisals. The judiciary, once a bastion of independence, has been brought under Erdogan's control. Judges and prosecutors deemed disloyal have been purged, replaced with loyalists who act at the government's behest. This erosion of judicial independence has undermined the rule of law and created a climate of fear and impunity. Section 7. Faces of defiance. Key opposition figures challenging Erdogan's grip. Despite the climate of fear and repression, a resilient opposition movement has emerged to challenge Erdogan's rule. Led by a diverse cast of politicians, activists, and ordinary citizens, the opposition draws strength from a shared commitment to democratic values and a yearning for an end to authoritarianism. One of the most prominent figures in the opposition is Ekrem İmamoğlu, the charismatic mayor of Istanbul. His surprise victory in the 2019 mayoral election, a stinging rebuke to Erdogan and the AKP, catapulted him onto the national stage. İmamoğlu's popularity stems from his ability to connect with voters across the political spectrum, appealing to their desire for a more inclusive and democratic Turkey. Another key opposition figure is Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, the leader of the Republican People's Party, the main secularist opposition party. A veteran politician known for his calm demeanor and conciliatory approach, Kılıçdaroğlu has sought to build a broad-based coalition to unseat Erdogan. The opposition faces an uphill battle against a government that controls the levers of power and shows little tolerance for dissent. However, their resilience and determination offer a glimmer of hope for the future of democracy in Turkey. Section 8. The East Africa Gambit. Expanding influence and strategic partnerships. Erdogan's foreign policy has been characterized by a desire to restore Turkey to its former glory as a regional power. He has pursued an assertive and often unpredictable foreign policy, engaging in military interventions, forging alliances with unexpected partners, and challenging the established regional order. East Africa has emerged as a key theater for Turkey's growing regional ambitions. Erdogan has sought to expand Turkey's influence in the region through a combination of economic diplomacy, military cooperation, and cultural outreach. He has cultivated close ties with several East African countries, including Somalia, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Turkey's engagement in East Africa is driven by a complex mix of economic, strategic, and ideological factors. The region's untapped economic potential, particularly in infrastructure, energy, and agriculture, presents lucrative opportunities for Turkish businesses. Beyond economic interests, Turkey's East Africa policy is also shaped by strategic considerations. Turkey views the region as a gateway to the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, vital maritime routes for global trade and energy security. Erdogan's interest in East Africa is also driven by his desire to position Turkey as a leader of the Muslim world. He has sought to build bridges with Muslim communities in the region, promoting Turkey as a model of Islamic democracy and development. Section 9. A Legacy in the Balance. Erdogan's imprint on Turkey and beyond. Recep Tayyip. Erdogan's legacy is a complex and contested one. He will be remembered as a transformative figure who dragged Turkey out of economic stagnation, elevated its international profile, and gave a voice to millions who felt marginalized by the secular establishment. His supporters view him as a strong leader who has restored Turkey's pride and place on the world stage. However, Erdogan's legacy is also stained by his authoritarianism, his crackdown on dissent, and his erosion of democratic norms. His critics argue that he has undermined the very foundations of the Turkish Republic, transforming it from a flawed democracy into an electoral autocracy. Erdogan's impact on Turkish politics and society will continue to be debated for decades to come. He has left an indelible mark on the country, reshaping its political landscape, its economy, and its place in the world. The future of Turkey's democracy hangs in the balance. Whether Erdogan's successors choose to build on his legacy or dismantle it will determine the trajectory of the country for generations to come. The world will be watching closely as Turkey grapples with the consequences of Erdogan's rule and charts a course for its future.